the previous podcast, we spent a lot of time looking at learning rates or student growth, and we just kind of ended by switching over here to average test scores. Average test scores is one of the three ways that the Stanford University Educational Data Archive looks at this national data aligned to the NAEP. And we left off looking at all the counties for all students across the United States. That shows that some of the highest achieving counties are in green and darker shades of green, while some of the lowest achieving counties are in dark blue. One thing I'd like you to notice, though, is that the dark blue in the bottom right-hand corner shows that this is one of the poorest areas within Wisconsin, and there is a strong correlation or relationship between poverty and achievement, as many of you well know. So for achievement, I highly recommend that we include a larger version of this chart by up here in the right-hand corner, choosing the chart and the map. Once I move to the chart and the map, I can look up any county, including Ottawa County in Michigan, and it will hone in on Ottawa County and show that color code, and it will identify Ottawa County along with all other Michigan counties, and it gives me some details about the average test score, the learning rates, and the trend data for the county. And what you'll notice is we can actually select numerous counties, and it will show us what we've selected down at the bottom between Allegan and Ottawa. It will show us on the map the 1 and the 2. So I'm going to deselect those and move my map back out to see all these different achievement levels. And if I look across the nation, we can see that where we had the largest amount of growth, we have the lowest amount of achievement over here in the west. But as I select all schools instead of just Michigan, I'll see that most of these green achievement areas are in the upper right-hand corner of my scatter plot. So their social economic status is much higher. They have much less poverty than other areas down here in Alabama and Mississippi, where the poverty is much higher. It would be my suggestion that as you look at this data, that you imagine a line passing through this scatter plot, similar to the way that we have a best fit line going through the Reading Now Network data, and you look at some of these outliers. So they may be high poverty, such as Starr County in Texas, or Dewey County in South Dakota, or Clay County in Kentucky, but they are certainly beating the odds in terms of other high poverty schools because they are significantly above the line. Whereas a county such as Arlington County, Virginia, even though they are high achieving, they do not seem to be performing as high as similar schools like Douglas County, Colorado, or Norfolk County, Massachusetts. Like the data for the learning rates, we can drill down beyond the county and look at the school district itself in terms of achievement. You'll see a very similar pattern across the nation, even when we drill down on that, and you'll see a lot more districts than there are counties. Though some states like Nevada and Florida, their districts are simply by county, and you can kind of see that with the larger areas here on the map. Those correspond to larger circles on our scatter plot. And if we drill all the way down to the school level, we'll have obviously a tremendous number of schools, and now you'll actually see some gray areas, because now in the gray areas we just don't have enough students to be able to do a statistical analysis. So the schools are a little bit more difficult to get a read on. A good starting point might be a district, and then within the district you find some high residuals, some beating the odds schools or some high achieving schools that you would want to investigate, then look inside that district and you'll probably see some very high performing schools as well. Keep in mind that this data is the average of all grades that are available to the school or the district from grades 3 through 8, and it is an average of 8 years from 2009 to 2016. Grade span and over a number of years actually gives us a little bit more stability in our high performers and low performers and how schools are doing in terms of their growth. Much like growth, we're also able to drill down and we're able to see how different subgroups compare. And as you'll note by the research, you can see how the scatter plot changes when we look at Asian students, and we see a majority of Asian students are not only high achieving, but typically on the wealthy side of the national average as well. And as we move to our African American students, we'll see the poverty become even more severe and achievement become a little bit lower as well. And our map now gives us a pretty solid region of where the most concentrated populations of African American students are. And again, you can draw a line across here and you can look at some of the highest achieving areas where African American students are in poverty, but yet they seem to be beating the odds. Since we covered much of the other subgroup data with our growth rates and our learning rates, everything is the same in terms of navigation, and I will let you explore and judge what you want to with looking up a particular school, district, or county and seeing where it falls both in terms of achievement from blue to white to green and how it compares to similar schools based on that line of best fit that you can imagine passing through that data set. I hope this was helpful.